Bacallo, Jonathan Carp, Nancy White, Steve Procopio, Elko Johans, Steve Returno. We have a couple folks who are hopefully going to join us later. Hopefully Chris Woznicka and Nicole Walsh, Kate Fiorello, Mike Marizio, and hopefully Teresa Roth will be able to join us later. We also have from CDS Housing, Ben. And Ben, do you have a guest with you, Nicole?
I think
Nicole, who
Nicole
are you
might be, it might be Justin Mirando. It's probably just his wife's.
Okay, we'll get to Nicole later.
There we go.
For those of you who are in the
became
room,
Justin.
please
Sorry
go
about
to
that,
the
guys.
exits. In the unlikely event we need them for an emergency, please note where they are. The clerk will call a roll, please.
Counselor Blakey.
Here.
Counselor Carp.
Here.
Counselor White.
Here.
Counselor Bacallo.
Here.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, here. Okay, first item on the agenda, Ms. Blakey, the pledge. To the flag.
To the flag.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Justice for all.
Standing as we think about everyone who is in harm's way. And hopefully we will be able to overcome this pandemic soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Nancy, would you like to take item number 2, please?
Yes, approval of abstracts.
We can't hear her, Bill.
I can hear her.
Resolved, the Cicero Town Board approves abstract numbers 46 dated November 4th, 2020.
Cheesesteak there too. Second, Counselor Bacallo.
Okay, we have a result. I want to get through item number 2 first. We have a second for item number 2.
I'll second.
Mr.
Second
Bacallo
by
seconded it.
Ms. Boyke.
If it's still on, 'cause it's kind of dark. Actually, it's probably dark. They close, they stop at 5:30, I think.
You got to mute yourself, Robert.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We're going to take a timeout in a moment. Let's just get through the roll call for number 2. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey.
Yes.
Counselor Carp.
Here. Or yeah, sorry. Aye.
Counselor White.
Yes,
Justin Thomas is the best.
Counselor Bacallo.
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes,
Rochambeau.
item is adopted. Thank you. We're just going to take a brief moment here so that
I didn't see anything like that.
technical people can get things online.
I sent you a whole.
By text or what?
Let me see.
No.
Nothing?
Hey, John, do you remember us having a Friday night meeting before?
Not me. I don't.
And we had a Friday morning meeting before. I know that.
Why?
Kind of cool. Friday night. I don't know. It's just cool.
Where's all the rest of them? Do you delete them?
I delete sometimes. Got one from Max Finn today too.
Why?
Mr. Jermaine,
Yes.
you may want to mute your microphone.
All set? Okay, the next item on agenda is number 4, public hearing for the 2021 Town of Cicero budget. The clerk has proof of publication. Clerk, please make note of the time. I think you'll notice that number 4 and 4A, as far as the body may look a little redundant. What happened is we end up having 2 notices published in the paper. So to make sure that we're in full compliance, we're splitting that up. We will not be voting on this. We're going to continue it over to the next item for the next meeting. So that being said, public hearing for the 2021 Town of Cicero budget, whereas the Town of Cicero has established a preliminary budget for 2021. Now therefore be resolved, the Town Board sets a public hearing for November 13th, 2020 at 5:30 p.m. at the Cicero Town Hall, 8236 Burton Road, to consider the 2021 preliminary budget, including special districts and fire protection districts. We're open to the Board members here, do you have any items or comments on the public hearing portion?
No.
Okay, I had no emails or notices on this item. Do any of the board members have any items from residents?
Bill, I
Hello?
I did receive one email. It was from Thomas Blue, Palm Summit Circle, Cicero, New York. I have participated in the budget process for the past 20 years, and sadly, this will be the first public hearing where we, the taxpayers, will not have the opportunity to comment in real time on questions that will affect our town's future and how wisely you choose to spend our money. My primary concern tonight is that you will be applying $2.1 million from the 3 reserve funds to, in effect, balance the budget. What most don't understand is that you are, in effect, robbing Peter to pay Paul. This procedure has been employed many times to hold the tax levy at around 2.5% and still achieve rising spending. The town's budget since 2017 will have increased to $16.9 million, or roughly $2.8 million in new bells and whistles that were deemed essential to the town's operation in progress. One additional item is totally without merit this year is to spend any funds on the Brewerton revitalization project when we have already spent well over $1 million on a project that is stalled and in limbo. We need to step back now and stop. This year is different, however, with the economic damage that has occurred because of the COVID virus. Many in our town are struggling to make ends meet like never before. They just simply cannot afford to have any additional tax burden placed on their backs. If the residents have been forced to sacrifice If the residents have been forced to sacrifice, then so should the town. We are looking for true leadership in this difficult time that will provide a budget that will not increase our taxes. And again, that was Tom Ballou, Palm Summit Circle, Cicero, New York.
Thank you. Any other board members have any comments at this time? I'm sure all of us can find good and bad in the preliminary budget. A couple of items that I'm concerned about, frankly, is there was a reduction in the comptroller's office for a staff person that does a lot of HR work, as well as workers' comp claims and safety work. I think that cut was maybe a little short-sighted. We need people in that area. Also, the state comptroller has pointed out that we need to continue the beefed up purchasing practices we've done. That being said, as the board members know, my secretary is retiring after a great career with the town of Cicero. And one of the items on the organizational meeting was to have her named as director of purchasing. So we're going to have a vacancy in that area as well. So I urge the board to rethink the situation with the purchasing director. And also, as we did with the Parks Department, we had a transition where we were able to keep the incumbent while the new person was being trained. I'm going to come back to the board with an offer on how we can do the same for this particular position. Any other items on number 4?
Not at this time.
Okay, so again, we're going to keep that open to the next meeting. I'm going to move on to 4A, public hearing for the 2021 Town of Cicero Fire District budgets. Again, the clerk has notified me of the publishing of that notice properly, and please note the time that this public hearing started. Whereas the town of Cicero has established a preliminary budget for 2021, now therefore it be resolved, the town sets a public hearing for November 13th, 2020 at 5:30 p.m. at the Cicero Town Hall, 8236 Brewerton Road, to consider the 2021 preliminary budget, including special districts and fire protection districts. And as I said, this was published as a separate notice so that we made sure we had the notices properly posted. Any board members have any comments on the fire district portion?
I think we all received the email from Tim Taylor from the Brewerton Fire Department, Mr. Supervisor. Were you going to read that?
Unfortunately, I don't have that. Do you have it or any of the other board members?
I don't believe I got it, John.
If
It
you-
was sent
Bill,
on, go ahead,
I
Mike.
mean, I have it on my computer. If you want me to go back and if you just give me a minute, I can probably pull it up.
I have it right here. I can read it.
Okay, cool.
Okay, that'd be good. Thank you.
Dear sirs and madams, I hope this email finds everyone well during this time of the year when you're all doing the town budget, not to mention this time of uncertainty with the COVID. I want to express my disappointment that our request for Brewerton Volunteer Fire Department ambulances tax base increase was cut by 66% without an email or a phone call. I would have liked the opportunity to explain why we asked for an increase for the first time in 15 years. I was under the impression that the ambulance could set the tax rate and the town would collect it for us and then give it to us, much like the school and fire districts. In the fire district, they are allowed to set the tax rate, and as stated above, the town collects the funds for them. I'm hoping you will reconsider this decision. Our contract for 3 years is set to expire at the end of 2020. You already have our original proposal. I would just like to point out that with your decision of the 66% tax cut for next year and allowing us to have $105,000, I will have to ask for a 7% increase in 2022 and 6% for 2023. We would also like to stay with a 3-year contract instead of a yearly contract. This will help us save money on legal fees. If you would please let me know as soon as possible if you decide whether or not to reconsider the tax cut and about our contract renewal. I will then have the new contract drawn up so it can be signed by the end of December. I thank you for your time and possible reconsideration. Please feel free to contact me at any time with any questions, concerns, or explanations on our end. Thank you, Timothy Taylor, President, Brewerton Volunteer Fire Department Ambulance.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Any further comments on number 4A? Hearing none, like I said, we'll keep this open. Move on to the next item, trash and brush informational. I'm sure all of you are familiar with this notice, which is on the website for the brush. We're coming to the end of the brush season. On the west side, the last day is for the week of the 16th, and on the east side, November 23rd. In addition to the regular brush, there's the Christmas tree pickup, which will begin on January 2nd. And then in the spring, there'll be the next contract. We have a couple of bids on the brush contract. They're being evaluated, and hopefully that evaluation will be concluded soon. And so hopefully we'll have at the next meeting an opportunity to ratify a contract for the next season. Now, Kate, did you have any items you wanted to add?
I didn't know if you all wanted to discuss the brush contract or wait until the resolution is up.
No, we can discuss it if you'd like.
I think so. Last Chance Recycling came in as the low bid at $593,040. On-site was second low at $640,000. That's for 2 years of the contract. Last Chance did not provide proof that they have a grapple truck. It was requested it was required in the contract documents because we believe they need a grapple truck. We did amend the documents to say they don't have to, they just shall have one for use when needed. So anyways, I think our last, we did request that information from Last Chance. Our suggestion is to maybe award it to Last Chance pending that they provide proof of ownership or lease of a grapple truck. Otherwise, if by a certain date, I think we arbitrarily selected December 3rd. And if they can't, then it would go to on-site, the next low bidder. So that's how the resolution is written for Monday, but it's up for debate, you know, for talk amongst the board.
I spoke to Mr. Germain about this, and his suggestion, and I think it's a reasonable one, would be to award the contract to Last Chance, subject to them providing within 10 days of award of the contract, either proof of ownership or access to a grapple truck. I mean, my understanding is the grapple truck's not used very often, but they should at least have access to it because we think they may need it. So he said either ownership of or access to. You know, Robert, if you want to, Mr. Germain, if you want to add something, I'd be comfortable with that language. Instead of selecting an arbitrary date, just say you've got 10 days to provide proof of one of the two, and I'd be comfortable with that. And Mr. Germain said that he would be as well, right, Mr. Germain?
It's a board decision, but I would say subject to either ownership or lease. and providing proof to the town within whatever, whatever days. I think I wrote a proposed resolution and Kate, what date do we use?
We used December 3rd, but it could be 10 days. We just thought we were being more lenient with December 3rd, but
Well, that's fine
whatever.
then.
Mr.
I also agree that I had spoke with Kate, and the fact of the opportunity to lease any of this equipment at any time, if it were necessary. Obviously, they showing proof that they had an opportunity to lease it. I think that that's a good idea as well.
Just out of curiosity, are we aware of how often and I'm not disputing that they need to have access, but how often really does on-site use a grapple truck? I've never seen one.
I actually was caught on Lakeshore Road behind them using a grapple truck. So
Okay, all right.
But I have not asked them how many times. It could just have been coincidence. But we also discussed that we want to have a resource for residents to use if they cut down their own trees, can't get rid of it. It is over what the limit is for what can be picked up, that they can, whoever has the contract can say, yes, we'll take that. It'll be $100, whatever. So
Okay.
as a resource for the residents.
And we could write a resolution in a way that if he doesn't provide proof within the time, that we would award to the second lowest responsible bidder, and we could put that in the resolution.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mr. Jermaine, does this open us up to an issue with possibly the second low bidder coming back and saying, well, if I didn't have to buy a truck, my bid would have been lower?
Yes.
Well, do we want to go that route since the one vendor did their bid correctly the first time, has proof of everything, the other vendor doesn't do it correctly, he gets extra time, he still doesn't prove that he's got the equipment, and we're going to give him the contract?
It's a board decision. You're able to look past some things in the bid response or not. I'm not guaranteeing we're not going to get sued by anyone here. I mean, we're in that position, and we've been sued the last 3 times with this bid.
Exactly.
But if we require him to provide proof of ownership, does that cure any potential defect in awarding the bid or not?
Hard to say. I think it does. I think it's a reasonable response. I think you're saying, we're giving you a certain amount of time to cure your bid. If you can't, we're giving it to the next bidder. It's the best you can do under the circumstances.
Okay.
How much time has he already been given to fix his bid from the original bid date?
He was given 2 weeks from the county. After we canvassed the bids, he was given 2 weeks to come up with the missing information. Other information was missing as well. He provided the majority, just not the grapple truck.
So he did everything except for the one that required him to spend a significant amount of money, in other words.
Right? I won't say that, but yeah.
After already giving him 2 weeks, and he still hasn't done that. I just don't know how appropriate it is to give this gentleman the contract when the other bidder does the bid correctly the first time.
Well, that's a good point. I guess my other concern is the myriad of complaints that we've fielded about the other vendor this year, including what our highway superintendent described at length, is numerous problems. I mean, I've been frustrated at the fact that we've had issues with them this year. I've been frustrated with the fact that, not everything was provided by the other vendor. It's a tough decision. But if the potential defect in awarding the bid to the other vendor would be cured by requiring him to provide proof of ownership, I don't know. I mean, if he provided everything else, he just says, I'm not going to spend the money in the truck until I know I have the contract. I don't think that's a horribly unreasonable position for him to take. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't believe it's unreasonable either, particularly with the fact it was my understanding that he had anticipated having a truck in the beginning, and it is available if the contract would be awarded.
Just for information, the resolution will be distributed to the board members, before the next meeting. So if I can move on to the next item, for for the information, we did get trash bids. It was done Thursday. So we're still in the evaluation. We did get 2 bids, so that's good. We had 2 bids. And hopefully the evaluation will be completed in the next few days and we can go forward on the trash. If you all remember, it was a little bit different in that last year we kind of got off cycle. Or not last year, the year before we got off cycle. So we're having to do a little catch up. So little different contract for the trash component, but good thing is we got 2 bids. So more information will be coming. Mike, you have number 6, and I believe you have Ben from CDS Housing. So if you'd like Mike to introduce number 6, and then if you'd like to have Ben speak.
Would you like me to read the resolution, Bill, first?
Sure,
or
go
just
for it.
Okay, perfect. Approving a planned unit development PUD for CDS Housing Phase 2. Whereas the owner of 8697 and 8699 Brewerton Road has requested a zone change to planned unit development PUD on the property for CDS Housing Phase 2, and whereas the Cicero Town Board was briefed on the project and held a public hearing on the proposal on October 28th, 2020, and continued on November 4th, 2020. And whereas the Cicero Planning Board was presented a plan for a project and a site plan, did the seeker review on the project as the lead agency, finding the application constituted an unlisted action under seeker and recommended, after due deliberations and analysis, approval of the project to the Cicero Town Board. Now therefore it be resolved, after due deliberations of the Town Board and the Planning Board, and an unlisted seeker determination from the Planning Board and a recommendation from the Planning Board, and be it further resolved that the Cicero Town Board approves the CDS Housing Phase 2 PUD zone change, subject to the terms and conditions stated in the Planning Board meeting of October 21st, 2020.
Need a second.
Second.
Ms. Boyke, a second. Discussion on the item, and Mike, would you like to introduce Ben if he had any items to?
Yep.
add?
Thank you, Bill. Ben, did you have any items to discuss?
I don't, obviously at the, here, if the board has any questions, Justin Mirando, who's the Director of Development with CDS, is also here. If the board has any specific questions.
Now, the CDS is kind of a generic title. It's the senior housing next to the existing senior housing, which is next door to the Cicero Library, for those who don't recognize the name.
Mhm.
Further discussion on that? We have a motion by Mr. Bacallo. I don't
I
have the
second.
second.
I second.
Ms. Boyke has second. Further discussion on this item? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carp,
Aye.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes. Item is adopted. Thank you. Number 7, Nancy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Retention and disposal of town records. Resolved by the Cicero Town Board of the Town of Cicero that retention and disposition schedule for New York local government records, LGS 1, issued pursuant to Article 57A of the Arts and Cultural Affairs Law and containing legal minimum retention periods for local government records, is hereby adopted for use by all officers in legally disposing of valueless records listed therein. Further resolved that in accordance with Article 57A, only those records will be disposed of that are described in retention and disposition schedule for New York local government records, LGS 1, after they have met the minimum retention periods described therein. B, only those records will be disposed of that do not have sufficient administrative, fiscal, legal, or historical value to merit retention beyond established legal.
Second, Counselor Bacallo.
Discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carp,
Aye.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. The next item was pulled by the highway superintendent. So the next item is number 9. Nancy?
Purchase carbon monoxide sensors for town hall. Resolved, the Cicero Town Board authorizes the purchase of 7 wireless carbon monoxide detectors, including installation and setup from Eastern Security Services, with no increase in the monthly monitoring rate for $1,185, budget code A162044.
Second.
Nancy, did you want to put some information about this as a modification?
Yeah, I got a couple things is, there was an incident not that long ago in town hall. What these monitors are gonna do is let everyone in the town hall know that one of the alarms is going off instead of just the person in proximity to it. So if you're on one side of the building and it goes off on the other, you're gonna know it. And then alleviate having to run around and get people out. They'll know to do it. And it's also a modification of the contract that we already have with Eastern Security Services. So the monthly isn't going to go up. It's just buying these units outright first.
Okay, do we need a second?
I second.
I would like to add that it is also going to be an automatic notification to the fire departments, whether we are here or not. So that is a very important.
Thank you.
aspect of it.
This is a item of information. The first responders were here immediately, did a great job. And our clerk did a fantastic job of making sure all the workers here in this building were evacuated properly. And she was very vigilant in making sure we had the heating and air conditioning people here, the National Grid folks here, to make sure that the immediate situation was taken care of, and then took care of the follow-up with the heating and air conditioning people, the next day. So she did a fantastic job.
I want to comment on that as well. I pulled into the town hall with anticipation of coming in, and the doors flew open and everyone came rushing out of the building. And Tracy stood outside in the pouring rain with Gretchen, and everyone got out safely, and I kind of was concerned. And then Tracy came over and let me know about the carbon monoxide. So it's good to have extra sensors and detectors in our building for everyone. Good job, Kate.
Do we have a second on that one?
I second.
Second, Wakey. Further discussion on this item? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carp,
Aye.
Counselor White,
Yes,
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item is adopted. Thank you. Under the discussion items, obviously, we have a meeting coming up to get the budget ratified for next year. Second item, COVID, obviously, it's a big item. I'd like to make sure that all of us stay strong in this. We do not want to be in the yellow category, and all the residents of town have been doing a vigilant job. I'd like to point out the obvious, maybe one of the best things we can do is take care of ourselves and our personal space. We have control over that. We don't have control over a lot of the other items, but we do have control over that. So the safety of all of us starts with you as an individual. So please keep up the great work you're doing. Any other items, discussion items from the board?
Bill, I did have an item, hopefully on the lighter side of things.
Good.
Teresa, did we, or the Parks and Rec Department, are we planning a holiday season contest of some kind? Just to get people a little more spirit, maybe like a decoration.
I'm going to give you
Sorry.
an indirect answer to that, Mike. The department is working on having an event, a drive-through type event by the ice rinks, and another one at the Brewerton Fire Department Station. Please contact the Director of Parks, and she can give you the update on that.
Excellent. Thank you, Bill.
Further items? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Second. Aye.
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 Thank you very much. Good meeting.